Hey everyone. The title of today's message is Emmanuel. The Bible verse is John 2:6-11. Now there were 6 stone water jars there for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water," and they filled them up to the brim. And he said to them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the feast." So they took it. When the master of the feast tasted the water, now become wine, and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the master of the feast called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first, and then, when the people have drunk freely, then the poor wine. But you have kept the good wine until now." This is the first of his signs Jesus did in Cana in Galilee, and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. There was a bona fide crisis underway. Back in Jesus' day, wine was a staple at most meals and a must at any respectable celebration. But at the wedding, the wine had run out. A humiliation of epic proportion for the groom's family, who was hosting the party. Jesus' mother, Mary, took it upon herself to find Jesus and bring him up to speed. "They have no wine," were her words, John 2:3. But her sense of urgency and meaning were clear. Help! No one in attendance except his mother had reason to believe Jesus could provide. He was as poor as anyone. He was seemingly normal up until the moment there was little to set him apart from the other partygoers, which makes his mother-directed debut a precious backdrop to what followed, verse 5-11. Jesus' newly recruited disciples watched as he instructed the servants to fill giant jars with water. What a confusing but intriguing directive. The servants did as they were told, which included taking a glass of water to their superior, the master of the feast, who apparently knew nothing of the looming drama. And then at some point between the drawing and the giving, the water turned to wine. Not just any wine, but awesome wine, the quality of which brought honor to the hosts. The party and reputation of his friends were saved. But of all the miracles Jesus could have performed first, he chose a wedding and wine and only a few witnesses. Why? Because he's Emmanuel, God with us, Matthew 1:23. The setting of his first miracle, the need in front of Jesus, potential embarrassment, and his obedience to his mom were consistent with everything else in his life. He was ordinary. Jesus was born in a stable, raised by simple people, and worked as a carpenter like his dad. He attended school and synagogue and now a party, because God's method of rescuing the world was to enter into it. For the next 3 years, the disciples saw Jesus do extraordinary things in ordinary, everyday circumstances. They watched the Messiah be hungry, happy, tired, frustrated, angry, and in the Garden of Gethsemane, afraid. They saw him love on the poor and rich alike, often using the common to display his heavenly glory, like loaves and fish, mud, waves, trees, and tombs. They learned to minister to real people with real problems, to love without prejudice, to preach the gospel no matter the conditions, to perform miracles, and to obey until death. And through it all, the disciples followed in his steps because of their faith in the one who was with them, Emmanuel, God with us, who dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and of truth. John 1:14. Today's prayer focus: thank God for Emmanuel, and ask him to help in your pursuit to find the extraordinary in your ordinary. Questions moving forward. At this moment, what circumstances are most difficult for you? How should knowing that God is with you affect the way that you respond to your circumstances? And just as the servants at the wedding had to draw water before they actually saw the water turn into wine, What are ways that you can step out in faith as a result of his promise to be with you? That's all that I have for today. I would like to add that, once again, this is just a devotional. It does have some Bible references in it, but if there's anything that you're confused about or that you have questions about, just go back to the Word, because ultimately the Word is where the truth is at. There might be things that I have to, and how do I say it? There might be things that I pull out of the devotional because they might not be what I agree with in my walk with God. And if that's so, then I will let you know. There was a part in this that I pulled out. You're welcome to go get the book or get online and figure out what it exactly says. It's just a little thing that I pulled out of it. But I don't ever want to be a stumbling block to somebody. So if I have a feeling that something's not right, I will go to the Word. And if I feel led, then I will either say it or I won't. But I just want to say that no matter what I say, no matter my beliefs, you need to go by what you feel God letting you to see. Go back to his Word, go back to his truth, because ultimately that stands above all things. But outside of that, I hope you all have a blessed evening, and I will be back on here tomorrow. Thank you for your time.